Another one. Another one. Touchdown Jags! Ball game!
Another Jags podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to another Jags podcast, episode 51. We are trudging along here in what is it's not officially the offseason for the NFL, but it's the offseason for the Jaguars. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. We're here with Joey, Jason, myself. We're excited tonight because we asked for questions and feedback on Twitter, and boy, did you all respond, and we are appreciative of that, and we're going to give you the show tonight. Before we do that, though, we want to remind everyone that we are, in fact, on Twitter at Another Jags Pod. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Another Jags Podcast. You can reach us on those platforms and ask us anything that you would like, or if you would just like us to comment on something, we'll do that as well, or at least try our best to our very limited knowledge. Let's get right into it because, there's a lot going on with the Jaguars in terms of what is to come. And let me say this before we get started. Eagles-Bears game. Foles is the quarterback. Were y'all glad to see that he did well and brought his team to a victory, or were you bummed that they won, making him on that team another week? In other words, stalling possible talks that could happen revolving around him possibly coming to the Jaguars.
I was bummed because I was rooting for the Bears, and the Bears were a better team in my mind. So he didn't really win that game. The Bears lost it. So, yeah, I guess it was a bad thing because not only did the Bears lose, but it delays talking to him for another week. But for him, I'm happy, man. I mean, he's kind of gotten the short end of the stick with Philly this year, and once again, he's proving himself to be the capable guy. So, go Foles.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see underdogs win, so I was happy to see the Bears lose. Foles is kind of what he is, and he's probably going to demand $30 million this offseason. I don't think that would have changed too much. Like, is he increasing his value? Maybe slightly, but I mean, unless they make a Super Bowl run, I think he's still in that $20 to $30 million range. So
you don't think them winning is going to cost whatever team gets him more money?
maybe a little bit, but not a lot.
Okay.
I think he's still between 20 and 30.
Okay. Now, just for in case our listeners forgot, will y'all both please remind our listeners who you picked to win the Super Bowl this year?
Bears.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
wow.
From Chicago, right?
It's a short term.
It might have been the Rams now that I think about it.
Now that you really think about
Yeah.
it? Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, so I wanted...
I need to decide which team I'm going to root for next so they can be guaranteed to lose.
That's
So, I
right.
mean, maybe I should let other people pick the team
I think
root
that's
for.
really the mystery behind the Jaguars season this year.
It's all me.
Yeah, it's all
I'm
it's
gonna
all
go
on
for,
Joey
I want to go with the Chargers next, but man, I don't want to ruin Phillip Rivers' life.
No.
So
and his 19 kids. All right, so Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you, and let's hear some Twitter questions. Let's hear from our listeners.
All right, we got some really good Twitter questions. And this first one's from Phil Shad, and he's at Phil Shad. And he says, since the Jags will be on the hook for Blake's contract, how much will they realistically have to spend on a free agent quarterback?
All right, that's a fantastic question at Phil Shad. Basically, we let go of Bortles that saves us about $6 million. He's got, 16.5 in dead cap space, which is going to hit us either way. If we let go of the people we think we're going to let go, that frees up another $10 million. So we're not even in Foles land at that point. I mean, Jason said 20 to 30. That's pretty accurate. He's going to get at least 20 at Philly. I think he's going to take that money and run and try to go somewhere else, and he's going to get a lot more. So, I mean, even get in the realm of somebody like Foles, which I think we should try for, it's going to take letting go of some other players. So it's going to be drastic as far as the team goes. I mean, who can you get for $10 million? Tyrod? What do you guys think? I mean, what's a $10 million quarterback out there?
Last year, Josh McCown was $10 million.
Ouch.
Just
He's 42?
I mean, he was overpaid, but I just wanted to, I mean, the Jets paid $10 million for Josh McCown last year and $10 million for Teddy Bridgewater. Then they traded him.
So Bridgewater, Tyrod, I mean, you're not getting a Stafford for that. You're not getting...
I mean, you said it. We would have to get rid of Darius. We'd have to get rid of Malik Jackson. We would have to restructure
Campbell.
Campbell. We would, definitely lose Yeldon, which we already think we're going to do. It's not.
That also hamstrings us. We have no other ability to go into free agency
Unintended?
for anybody else. Absolutely. So I mean,
money.
I would love to see us go for Foles, but I mean, that is basically that we're done in free agency. We have no more money left.
Yeah.
And we have major holes to fill where, players that were let go or, not brought back in order to get someone like him. So basically the question then is free agent quarterback the route to go?
Well, at that price. Because you could get one. You could get a Bridgewater. You could get a Tyrod Taylor in here for like $8 million, and I think that would be your way to go. Get a Tyrod Taylor in here. Decide how you want to evaluate the quarterbacks. If you want to draft one in the first round, you'd have to probably get rid of next year's first to move up for Haskins, but it's a steep price for a guy like that.
You think that's what it'll take?
Yeah. I think it would, realistically, if you ask me to move up into the Jets pick, which is 3, I think. Is that what Jets picking? 3, something like that?
3 or 4.
3, yeah. You would have to give up this year's first, obviously, next year's first, and probably Leonard Fournette.
Wow.
I mean, it's steep. And who knows? The Cardinals may trade their pick.
I was going to say, I'm not sure 3 or 4 is high enough.
You're right.
Because, and that's now looking back at the Dolphins game that the Jags won. At the time you're thinking that just cost us the draft, but really, even if we were sitting at 4, I would still be nervous that isn't high enough to go get Haskins.
But I mean, none of the teams above us need a quarterback other than the.
You don't know that.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point isn't what they need. The point is who will give those teams that don't need that
somebody
quarterback.
jumping in front of it.
Right. Yeah.
Cardinals could trade.
Like a Washington.
The Raiders could draft Haskins. The Giants could draft Haskins.
Do the Raiders have anything to trade for that?
They could draft.
Kidding.
They could draft Haskins. I mean, they're picking before us.
Well, true. They're going to do that with Carr?
Sure. Why not? They could trade Carr for a 3rd-round pick to the Jags.
Okay, so then follow-up question, is Haskins worth it?
The last half of the season? Absolutely. First half of the season? No. I mean, he's a different player at the end of the year. I mean, I don't know what flipped the switch on him, but I mean, you watch the last 3 or 4 games, and he looks like the man. But I mean, you watch the first 3 or 4 games, and there are questions all over the place. I mean, the guy's got a gun. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a pocket passer. He definitely has the arm, but decision-making wise, maybe just matured throughout the year. But at this point, he's definitely the best QB in the draft. He's the only one worth going for.
But does that make him worth it, or is this just a slim pickings quarterback draft, and because of that, teams are going to sell the farm to get a guy that maybe isn't the answer, but they're just desperate?
Yeah, I would say no. I'm not a fan of trading multiple first-round picks for anybody, unless it's a guy like Andrew Luck, unless it's a guy like... Admittedly, I would have traded 2 first-round picks for Jameis Winston. I thought he was that special coming out. A guy like Trevor Lawrence coming out of Clemson, that's a guy you trade up multiple first-round picks for. You don't do it for an RG3 or a Haskins. These guys might be good, but...
Mitch Trubisky.
Right. These guys are so valuable. The first-round picks are so valuable. It's hard to justify sending more than one. I mean, if we drafted a tackle this year in the first round and then drafted a Greer, a Jones, even trade back into the late first or moved, second-round pick quarterback, I would rather do that and keep our first for next year, because that's the draft that has the Tua and the Fromm and the Herbert.
And so much better next year, you're right.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just the year after that has Lawrence. It's like, this is the worst year to do that, in my opinion.
So you think we should go into the season with a Tyrod or Teddy Bridgewater and hopefully get a QB in the 2nd or 3rd round?
Yeah.
You know what would be cheaper than that?
Keep Bortles.
Yep.
Which brings up the question, is Bortles back next year? Which nobody's
You can't bring
anything.
Bortles back.
That's what everyone keeps saying.
I'd
but
rather have
can't.
Bortles for an extra $6 million than Tyrod or Teddy Bridgewater for $8 million.
No, I don't have Tyrod.
Bortles is a team guy.
What does that mean?
He's going to be, if we do bring somebody in, he's going to be willing to.
He's a team guy. He's not going to win you any games, though.
I think if he win as many, they would.
As Tyrod?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
I don't think there's any way they bring him back. But just to play devil's advocate, got a healthy offensive line.
Hopefully.
Yeah, draft. Let's say going with your theory, Jason. 7th overall pick. Draft a new left tackle. Move Cam over to the right tackle. Who knows what's going to happen with Fournette? But you got Marquise Lee back healthy. Didi's got another year under his belt. You never know who else they draft in the later rounds. Is it I mean, what's the win differential between Tyrod Taylor and Blake Bortles at that point? 2 wins? Really? 1?
Personally, I think we take
Neither one of them are winning the division.
But how can you bring Bortles back?
I don't think you can.
You
I'm just
can't.
saying.
I don't think you can from like
Can't.
Just on paper though. If you eliminate
It makes
everything
more
else on
sense.
paper, it makes more sense.
It does. He knows the offense. I mean, he knows everything. Like, it does make more sense, but you're right. They cannot bring him
Yeah,
back.
it's not happening. If it does, then I mean, I don't know what the fan base would do. I really don't.
You can't.
But he I don't think it works even in the locker room. Forget about the fan base.
Yeah.
Not that
we saw how the locker room turned this
Right.
year. I mean, Marone yeah.
Personally, I think I would rather talk about nothing but offensive line. Take the entire Clemson offensive line. Did you guys watch that game last night? I mean,
there was a game last night.
crazy.
The Magic and the Sacramento Kings
Yeah.
got out of hand there in the second half.
Fix the offensive line. And everything else is secondary at that point. I mean, everything else gets better
I'm
automatically.
a firm believer in that, but how do you can't fix the offensive line with rookies? It's just,
Why not?
It's not realistic anymore.
Giant dudes can, yeah, you can.
I mean, these guys like Quentin Nelson are like generational players. Like, you don't bring in guys that are rookies and they make big differences nowadays. It's just not
You
how
can fix
it
the
goes.
right side of it with the rookies.
I don't think you. I mean, we're talking about the differences between like Tyrod Taylor and Bortles. The difference between a rookie right tackle and Parnell isn't going to be big either. Now, maybe in the future, that rookie develops and becomes way better, but in his first year, he's not going to give you much more adjusting to the NFL speed than a guy who's been in the league for 10 years will.
Then maybe we should call the Colts and figure out how they did it.
They have an amazing quarterback. That's how they did it.
In addition to a significantly better offensive line in
They
one
added
year.
one guy.
Their offensive line was horrible last year.
They had no quarterback. They had Jacoby Brissett back there.
But we're not getting
They
a lot.
added a center and was his name Kelly? Is that their center
Ryan Kelly?
from Alabama?
Yeah.
And then they also got Quentin
Nelson.
Nelson.
But the thing is, we pretty much are not getting a better quarterback.
No.
There's no luck.
It's going to be, I mean, unless they can, I mean, are way smarter than we are with cap space. Foles is a improvement. Everyone else, and I guess maybe Flacco would be an improvement. Everyone else, it's a lateral move. You're just getting Bortles out of the locker room because it just won't work for a team. But the guy that you're bringing in is maybe going to win one more game for you. 2, maybe. 2 at the most. And that's still, I mean, if you measure who we would bring in, let's just say for argument's sake, it is Tyrod Taylor. Okay, where does he rank against Marcus Mariota, Andrew Luck, and Deshaun Watson? Just within that division. I mean, that's a pretty big gap.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not really. I mean, they could trade Telvin,
Yeah.
and free up some cap space. They could. I mean, if they get rid of Gibson and Church is gone, you know, there's ways to get Foles in here. There's ways to get a Flacco in here.
So you think we could get Foles in here without blowing up our defense?
I mean, if you consider getting rid of Telvin blowing up, I'm not sure what your definition of that would be. But yeah, I mean, no, you would have to get rid of a lot of defensive pieces. But I'm not a fan of it. I'm just saying it's real. You could do it. That's what I'm saying. I'm a fan of doing the veteran approach. But I mean, if you can't get Haskins, I mean, gosh, it just seems like the Drew Locks to the Will Greers to the Daniel Jones all just kind of seem the same to me.
This is my concern for this coming up off season, that we are so quarterback desperate right now that we are falling in love with a fraud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
In both Foles and Haskins.
Yeah.
That because they're the two that are there, that we are just being a prisoner of the moment and saying this is the guy because we need a guy. And then neither one of them are.
Well, I mean, everybody was saying that last season, like, go after Kirk Cousins. I mean, ask Minnesota how that worked out for them. Is Foles Kirk Cousins 2.0? I mean, he has proven himself. He's won a Super Bowl and gotten his team to the playoffs again, so a little bit better than that. But is he a franchise QB and he's worth blowing up a franchise defense? I don't know.
I'm nervous about that move.
I'm definitely nervous too. I mean, I see your point, but what option do you have? Like, roll with Bortles? You just simply cannot do that.
No.
So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but do you take a risk on a guy like Drew Lock, and if he doesn't work out, draft another guy next year? I mean, I would rather do that than trade the farm for Dwayne Haskins.
I agree. Just draft quarterbacks until we hit on one.
I mean, what's the what do you think Flacco's going to go for?
Flacco's got a back, man. He's getting up there in age. I don't want Flacco. Behind our line,
Flacco might get cut, realistically. Maybe they get a fifth for him, but I mean, he's not going to demand much.
You'd rather have Tyrod Taylor than Flacco?
I would.
I would rather take a gamble on Teddy Bridgewater, honestly, than any of those.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, if we're just looking for like a season or two, because he's going to get crushed again at some point.
Yeah.
But I would rather take Teddy Bridgewater. Hopefully, maybe draft somebody on the line for a first round pick and get Greer in the second round. Hopefully, maybe trade up to get Greer in the second round. That's where our trade up comes from.
Greer
we don't need to trade up in the second round. We're going to have a high.
Greer might not make it in the second round, though.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Try to get Greer would be my goal, because I do think he's a winner.
The more I watch Greer,
he's like a Baker Mayfield. Everybody said that about him last year.
No, they're not the same.
They are. They're very
Baker
similar.
Mayfield was setting like Big 12 records.
Look at how many yards he threw for at West Virginia and how many touchdowns. He was a Heisman candidate at West Virginia.
Baker Mayfield won the Heisman.
Okay, on a much better team, a significantly better team with significantly better players around him.
I don't know.
Greer's playing with crap players around him is perfect for the Jags.
Greer is like, I don't know. The more film I watched on him, the more I was kind of like, I don't know about this guy. He makes decisions sometimes that are just boneheaded. He does things sometimes that are just, he does good plays and he has bad plays. He's not consistent, and he doesn't like wow you with his intangibles. He doesn't wow you with his arm. Like Drew Lock wows you with his arm. Throws off his back foot and makes throws that most quarterbacks can't off of his back foot. And you don't want him throwing off his back foot, so it's kind of a negative, but the throws he makes just wows you. Greer doesn't wow you in any way. Daniel Jones, Duke, his football IQ, his pocket presence, that wows you. Like, okay, I can see that, but Will Greer, I don't know, man.
You'd rather take a Duke quarterback than Will Greer?
I don't get caught up in the school, because look at where Carson Wentz came from, and look at where these guys like, Jared Goff went to Cal. It's not like went to a powerhouse school. Nick Foles went to Arizona. Bortles went to UCF.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't get caught up in the school, but Greer doesn't pass the eyeball test for me, and that's just me. But
I think it's the opposite. I think he absolutely passes the eyeball test.
I didn't know it was eyeball test. I thought it was just eye test. Eyeball.
Eyeball's a little more scientific.
Yeah, yucky. Daniel Jones did sit under David Cutcliffe, coach of the Duke, who apparently is like the quarterback whisperer. Both the Manning brothers swear by him.
Yeah.
So there's that.
He played well at Duke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to be at Cal, but Duke, that's
so. I mean, this conversation just leads to more questions. Really,
yeah.
This will be very, very interesting to see what the Jags do.
And the problem is that the front office is going to have as hard of a time with it as we are. I mean, there's not an easy answer. There's not like a dead set like.
So what you're really saying is, if we can't figure it out, there's no way the front office will be able to
exactly.
Figure it out. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, because look at their past record. I mean, it's not going to be an easy fix. I mean,
well, this question kind of goes with what we're talking about. This is from Jason, and he's at RatHCP. And he says, if the Jags sign a quarterback in the offseason like Joe Flacco and don't draft a quarterback in the first round because there will be better options next year, are you guys okay with another bad season like this year so we can have a high draft pick next draft?
Hey, I say lose for Lawrence for the next 2 years.
That kid's amazing.
You heard it here first. No, I'm not saying that, but
he's good.
He's
highest ever rated recruit coming out of high school.
He turned 18 in October.
And he's 6'6", like 220.
So when this college football season started, he was 17 years old. It's unbelievable.
Highest ever recruit coming out of high school. Unanimous number one throughout all the recruiting sites.
Talk about handling pressure too, man. The kid was just like smiling in like a national championship game at 19. I mean, geez, dude.
Yeah. He's good. He's the real deal.
No, he's amazing.
The real deal. I didn't realize how good he was until I was reading articles about him up to the game, and didn't realize that he was like the man.
Mm-hmm.
He really is. But he's not eligible until 2020.
Right.
So
a moot point.
Or
what was the question? Would we be okay with him?
Are you okay with another bad season to draft a Tua or a Fromm or a guy like that?
I mean, there's no guarantees that if they have a bad season that they'll still get a quarterback.
But you have a better chance of getting, a Tua Fromm and a Herbert versus just a Haskins, Locke, and a Jones.
I mean, I would think that if they don't get Haskins with their first pick, then they're going to get another quarterback next year. I mean, unless whoever they get, if they get a project in the second round, just blows them away and is a surprise, I would think that's going to happen.
If they address offensive line, tight end, maybe a wide receiver, I'm fine with that. If they fix other spots that we need fixing, and we take whoever we can get in free agency and draft whoever we can get, and it doesn't work out, at least we've got another year in those spots that need work, and they're going to be better when that stud quarterback comes in.
Right.
But the trade-off is you may lose Campbell, you may lose Darius, you may lose Malik Jackson, who knows what's happening with Boye by then. Gibson will definitely be gone by then. That's the trade-off. Your defensive window slightly closes.
But I'm fine with that almost because we have to be fine with that. There's not a better option out there.
Well, I mean, you could try to draft quarterback this year or get a veteran this year.
We just got done saying that there's not a stud quarterback in this draft.
What we've realized is in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
You have nothing. And so if they go and try and get a guy this offseason and he's not it, then we're just right back where we started. So what I don't want them to do is draft for need, and that's what gets you in trouble is when you say, well, we have this hole, we have to fill it, so we're going to go with a guy that is there because we have to get him versus drafting the best player available. And I know that's probably not what most people want to hear because we all want a quarterback. That's what's exciting. That's what's fun. That's what gets the fan base going. But trust me, you don't want the wrong guy. That's just going to set you back another 4 or 5 years. So it's on them to really make these hard decisions and see what are they really going to do. And the more that we talk about it and the more that the bitter taste of this season leaves our mouth, the more I'm considering like, look, we need to take our time with this and make the right decision and not have a knee-jerk reaction. Just get a guy because we need a guy.
Well, nobody wants you to stretch because you're drafting for need. But, I mean, look at last year. We took the best player available in their mind and Taven Bryan, and we could have gotten Lamar Jackson.
Well, and that's you hit the nail on the head there. In their mind.
In their mind, which that's what we got to deal with.
That exactly. And that's scary.
But what did Lamar Jackson do? He looked like trash.
Got his team to the playoff, won the last 6 games of the season.
Oh, the last 6? You mean 5 out of the last 6?
Oh, sorry.
Because he looked
more games than we won all year.
Trash this week.
He did. It was the playoffs. He's a rookie quarterback. I'm
not sold on him. He had a good stretch.
I didn't say I was sold on him. I would much rather have Lamar Jackson on our squad than I would have had Taven Bryan.
Yeah, but okay, now put yourself in Baltimore's shoes. They're about to either trade, cut, somehow get rid of Flacco. He's got a bad bag. Now they got Lamar Jackson, so their chances are they're not going to be drafting another quarterback in this draft. If they do, it's going to be in a later round. Then you're hitching your wagon to him another year, and who knows what's going to happen with him next year. The league figures these guys out pretty quick, and it looks like that's exactly what
Gus Bradley
and the Chargers did, is they figured him out.
He got gussed up.
We'll see. You got to be careful with that as well. I just know that right now we have in our division 2 very good quarterbacks in Deshaun Watson and Andrew Luck. And until we get a quarterback that is of that caliber, we're going to be looking up at them for a while. The Colts especially, man, they're scaring me right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this weekend, to be honest with you. I would not be surprised if they go into Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. We can get to that later. I'm just saying, like, that's the difference between a really good quarterback and not is.
Should we go back to the preseason predictions on the Colts, James?
Yeah, please.
Didn't you say they were garbage, hot garbage?
No, I said the Titans were.
Titans.
I think you said the Colts were in the division, didn't you?
Yeah, I was high on the Titans.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
The Colts.
I said the Colts would win, and no, I said the Jags would win, and the Colts would finish
See,
second.
set you up for that one.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, next question.
Did we answer the last one? I think we did.
I hope so. Directly. That was a long answer not to.
Yeah, I think we did. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, are you okay with losing this year for a quarterback next year?
I'm okay with them making the right decision.
Right. I agree.
I think whether they do that or not remains to be seen.
All right, this next question is from Mike Yazigi. and he's at Mike_Yazigi94. And he says, player more likely to not be in a Jags uniform next year, Fournette, Telvin, or Darius. I'm under the assumption that Malik is not coming back.
More likely to not be?
Yes.
That's a good question with those three.
I'm going to say Telvin.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, more likely to not be back.
I think he has the
Over Fournette and Darius?
yeah.
I agree 1,000%. Telvin's position's redundant.
No.
It is. Miles
No,
Jack can
not
play the
this year.
exact same spot.
Not this year.
He's getting paid. Darcius is going to renegotiate his contract.
That's a lofty idea to think that he's for sure going to do that.
Really?
Yeah. He could take himself to the free market and probably make more money. But he may like Jacksonville. He may like Monroe.
Well, we kept him out of jail somehow, so I mean, that's worth something, right?
That hush money. I think they'll get, the reason I say is I think that's what they'll get the most return for in a trade is Telvin, because, you know, it is a redundant position for them right now. He's shown flashes last season, not necessarily this season. You know, reports out of the locker room at the end of the season weren't good coming from him. I just think with Fournette, I'm just not ready to say they're going to get rid of him yet after 2 seasons. The guy was the 4th overall pick. And I know he has a lot of maturing to do, but I just can't imagine that they're going to get rid of him. And also because I don't think they'll get anything for him anyway. There was a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that they tried to trade him before the trade deadline, and they didn't get anything enough that they wanted. So if they didn't get anything for him then, I would imagine that it's even going down more now.
The problem with that was, I can't remember who said this. I think it might have been Hayes Carline. They asked him to name 10 running plays in the Jaguars playbook, and he could come up with 4. So that's what killed that deal.
Fournette. Was that a joke, or is that serious?
That was a joke.
Okay.
But yes, apparently he does
It was a good joke.
does not know the playbook whatsoever. Like he had to ask players in the huddle like what plays they were running.
I think most likely not to be back is Darius, only because of what he's getting paid. I mean, he's just really highly paid. I think that's why we drafted Taven Bryan. We have his replacement on the roster, ready to go. It's a clean break with him. He's a good player. I like him a lot, but just as far as like logic is concerned, getting rid of him wouldn't set us back too much. As far as Telvin, Fournette, now we're dipping into free agency or the draft to fill those guys' spots. So for me, I think Darius is most likely not to be back. Fournette, it would be second for me, just because of, I mean, how do you cut a guy's guarantees and bring him? I mean, that's tough for me, man. We went over that last week's podcast. I already talked about that. Telvin, we just signed this guy. It's hard for me to think that he's going to be gone already. So I think Telvin's back for another year. He's a good player. He had a bad year. That happens. So, yeah, Malik's probably not coming back. You're right, Mike. So
I don't know. For some reason, I got my fingers crossed about that one.
I like Malik, but man, not starting's tough towards the end of the year.
He did not have a great season either.
You lose your starting spot. He flashed, but you got to be consistent in this league. So, all right. Well, this question is a little lengthy. Okay, so I want you to take your time here. Okay,
dissertation.
And I'll try to set you up a little bit here to help you. This is from Jeff Albanese. Okay, and he's at Jeff Albanese. And he says he wants us to mock the offseason where we each play the GM and accept and decline hypothetical deals for free agent quarterbacks, then hypothetical offers for picks 1 through 5 in the draft, and the selections for the succeeding 2 picks. See where everyone stands to solve this quarterback situation in positional priority in the draft.
I need a Tylenol.
This seems like someone that's going to use our answers for like his own podcast.
Right.
That's a fantastic question, but I think that's going to require some like serious research and maybe.
That's why I sent it to you earlier in the day, Joey.
Yeah, which I mean, you know, I need like 2 weeks for a question like that.
All right, so here
I'll play the Jaguars GM.
Okay.
I resign. Because I'm terrible at what I do.
I heard owning car dealerships is a good gig.
All right,
I'm gonna go do that.
All right, so here I'll kind of help you with this one here a little bit. Okay. All right. Give me. Is there someone that you would trade this year's first round pick and next year's first round pick, or this year's first round pick and this year's second round pick, but can't be a quarterback?
No.
No.
Okay, so you wouldn't trade this year's first and this year's second to move up for Jonah Williams, left tackle from Alabama.
No.
Did you see him last night?
He looked bad at one play, but you can't get hung up on that. Okay, so you wouldn't trade this year's first and this year's second to move up for N'Keal Harry, wide receiver from Arizona State.
No,
Definitely not.
because the Jaguars are terrible at drafting first-round wide receivers.
Okay.
It's never worked out.
I mean, I
for
think the
them.
answer to the question is I would not trade that for anything but a quarterback.
Yeah, I agreed.
I mean, Carr is the only thing that jumps to mind. Like, I would give that up for Carr. Maybe even throw
Is
Telvin
Nick
in there.
Bosa that good?
Probably. Here's someone that's I think is that good. Not this year's first and next year's first, but this year's first and next year's second is Quinnen Williams, the D tackle from Alabama. That guy had a game
That
last
guy's a
night.
beast.
He looked good. I know we don't have a need at D tackle. We literally just drafted one, but that guy is going to be one of the best D tackles in the league. Mark it up right now. Okay, so how would you solve? We kind of already answered this, but how would you solve the quarterback situation? Would you move anywhere in this year's draft? Back into the first, back into the second.
It's hard to say now because we don't know whose names are coming off the board. But if I were to move at all, it would. I don't know, man. There's still a temptation for me to go after Haskins. There really is. I'm more optimistic about him than I think maybe the two of y'all are. Maybe I don't know. But I just don't know what that price is going to be since he's really the only legitimate quarterback prospect in this draft. I mean, you have project guys like Greer and Jones. If the Jags move up and if they can move up and get him without trading next year's first round pick, I would be fine with it.
I don't see how they could, though.
Would you trade this year's first, this year's second, this year's third, and Leonard Fournette for Haskins?
No.
Maybe this, swap firsts and the third and Telvin. I would need to watch Draft Day with Kevin Costner first to remember how to do all it.
It's the most ludicrous movie of all
It's
time.
like, that's how I do it.
Could Moneyball help us in any way in this?
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, so that's a good question there. I like that. I still think this guy is like writing an article or
Head
something.
scratch.
I do like that. I, for one, would not be opposed to us trading back in the first round and taking Greer.
I think his article would be titled, "Listen to how idiots would be general managers."
Think there's someone dumber than Caldwell?
Right,
Check
yeah.
this out.
We found him.
Hey, our Wi-Fi's out, guys. Sorry. But seriously, I would trade back in the first round and take Greer. I think I'll say it right now. 2-3 years from now, we can look back on it. But I think Greer is going to be a well above average good quarterback in the NFL.
I wouldn't be upset if they did that. I'll say that. And to me, I think if they do move up at all, that's where it's going to be. I don't think they're going to do that in the first round, move up from 7, because I think the price is going to be awfully steep because it's going to turn into a bidding war. So they could be patient and move out of the second into the first because they have a high second round pick. That's these high picks they're every round. So yeah, it could be Greer, it could be Jones with whoever they like better, but I think we could see that happen.
As a Gator, as long as we don't draft anybody from the Gators, I'll be happy.
Right.
What?
Yeah, quarterbacks that have left Florida.
You mean quarterback?
Oh, he's not from Florida. He's from West Virginia, Jason.
Wait, are you talking about quarterback or are you talking about just all positions?
I'm talking about all positions.
You wouldn't take Ja'Cory Polite?
Not after our track record. That guy's an absolute stud. That was the guy I'm talking about. We take him, something's going to happen. He's going to be awful. He's going to
That's a terrible way to look at
he's going to
football.
rob a liquor store or something. It's the truth.
Who else? What about Freddie T, man?
That was like 15 years ago.
Reggie Nelson was
And he
good
sucked for
other
us.
teams.
He sucked for us.
He's been great for the Bengals.
Yeah, it was awesome in that scheme.
All right, well, I kind of like Daniel Jones, so I'm going to ask this question just so I can set myself up here. All right, this question's from Pete, and he's at Coach L Tweets.
Yeah.
And he says,
Yes, he does.
am I crazy to love Daniel Jones as a prospect for us, No flashiness, but his coaching, arm, and intangibles are very intriguing to me. Then there's an answer follow-up from our good friend, the Kenny, and he's at KNNTHP3. He says, I like that dude. I think Jones is a Matt Ryan type of guy and would be efficient with our run-first mentality.
So we had a conversation
Within our
listeners. Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good one. Maybe they should just come do the podcast.
Maybe. They probably know more than
All
us.
right, well, then you said you had a take
Yeah,
on
I do. I like Daniel Jones. I really do. The more film I watched on him, the more I liked him because he didn't have a lot around him, and you could tell he just understands the game. He makes quick throws to the right spot, and he always made good decisions. To me, I see the Matt Ryan comparison. That's a little lofty for me, though. If you ask me to give a comparison, I would say he's like not a poor man's, but like maybe a little worse Jared Goff. That's kind of what he reminds me of. Same size, smart.
Isn't he 6'6"?
They're both like 6'5".
Oh, Jared Goff is 6'5"?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's something in 6'4", 6'5", wherever you're with that. Matt Ryan is too.
Okay.
And he makes the right throw each play. Now, if it's not open, he throws it out of bounds into the ground. But he doesn't make bad decisions very often, and he has a big arm. The reason I like to compare Goff and Daniel Jones is they both excel in the RPO game. And that's kind of what the NFL's turning into. You see like Baker Mayfield, even Lamar Jackson. You see these guys, Matt LaFleur just got a head coaching job, just because of his ability to run the RPO. And it's kind of what the NFL is turning into. So the fact that he's really, really good at that and has had good coaching makes him attractive to me. And he's a guy that, man, I don't know where he's going to go. You may be able to trade back to about 15. Didn't get him. 15 to 20.
Is that what
if you're feeling risky?
You'd want to trade above Washington at 15, so 14.
You think he's going in the first round?
Yes. I think
this is
I think he goes top 20.
This is the Duke guy, right?
Yeah, Duke. Yeah. He's better than I think you think.
So it doesn't concern you whatsoever that the DBs he's throwing against and safeties are going to be like working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car next
because
week.
that doesn't really matter. Because if that were the case, the best quarterbacks in the NFL would all come from the SEC, and none do. So you can't use that as a comparison.
Not to mention he played in the conference that has the reigning national champions.
Very, very true. Very true. Yeah. So it's not something that you can.
Does he play basketball too?
They all play everything.
All right, fair enough.
Okay. I don't know. There's something I like about him. I've only watched a little bit of film on him, not his entire body of work so far, but from what I've seen so far, I kind of like him a lot. I do. I like Drew Lock too, and I don't want to be the guy that James was talking about. That's like, man, we need a quarterback. So I'm like talking myself into falling in love with these guys because I'm an emotional guy. I could definitely see myself doing that. But I don't think I'm doing that with Daniel Jones. And I think he's going to be the second best quarterback in this draft.
Does he have a quick release?
His release is very nice. I wouldn't say it's as quick as Tanner Lee's.
More importantly, is he a natural thrower?
He appears to be a natural thrower of the football, yeah. If I had to guess, in my opinion.
I did hear the Duke play-by-play guy today say that he's much more athletic than people give him credit for as well. He's a good running quarterback when needed. So, which is not really what a lot of people are talking about with his game. It's more, pocket passer, which is great. That's what you want.
Right.
But it's nice when they can, if there's some open space, they can go and get 10 to 15 yards. If
And that's almost a necessity on the Jags, right? I mean,
it's really becoming, a necessity in the league.
True.
So, again, we'll know more about these guys as the draft gets closer. It's still over 4 months away. So we have plenty of time to evaluate them. But I don't know. There's part of me that's like, go get Haskins. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw for like 5,000 yards. I mean, like I'm not exaggerating.
He looked good in the bowl game.
Yeah,
he did.
And that's the thing. I mean, which Haskins you're going to get? Like I said, the end of the season, I mean, he looked like a world beater.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned like a true passer of the ball. Again, Tua played awful last night. But when he throws the ball, it's out like a rocket, and it's the tightest spiral you've ever seen. I mean, if we can just get somebody that can throw the freaking football, I'd be happy.
It's going to be awesome to see spirals during the game.
It will be. Like, hey, that's what you're supposed to do with the ball.
Like, wow, look at it go.
Yeah.
All right, well, this next question is from Brent Papineau. He's at Brent Papineau. He says, best possible, realistic free agents available. We already talked about kind of the draft targets, but we'll say free agents at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver.
Realistic? I think Golden Tate's realistic.
Although he's having a good year this year.
He is.
So he may
We won that game for him.
demand some money.
Be a nice veteran presence, though, for that wide receiving group.
Tavon Austin, anything for you?
No. We have Tavon Austin. His name's D.D. Westbrook.
Jermaine Kearse, do anything for you?
Possession guy.
Cordell Patterson, Chris Hogan, Mike Wallace, Cole Beasley, Adam Humphries.
Cole Beasley. He killed us this year.
Yeah, but
Man, he
Career
looked like
game.
a world beater. Philip
Philip
Dallas guy, right?
Yes.
Martavis Bryant. Yeah, they're all the same guy to me.
Yeah.
Like, just, man, could be 2, could be 3. We have that. We have plenty of that on the team already. This is a weak free agent wide receiver year for sure. That's why a guy like N'Keal Harry kind of intrigues me a little bit. So,
I don't know, with our cap room and our record, I really hope we don't do a whole lot in free agency. I mean, unless it's going for Foles or a quarterback like that, I hope it's a pretty mild offseason.
here are the running backs that could be out there. Jay Ajayi, C.J. Anderson from the Raiders, Le'Veon Bell, obviously, I don't think it's realistic. Alfred Blue from Houston, Tevin Coleman from Atlanta.
I like Tevin Coleman.
Well,
I don't know what he's going to cost, but I do like him.
He won't cost a lot, but he's a receiving back, it seems like.
the big one you didn't mention, I guess technically not a free agent, though, is Antonio Brown, wide receiver wise.
We have a question about Antonio Brown,
Ugh.
but I didn't read it because I thought it would be.
We can read it. We don't have to read it now.
I mean, it's going to happen. I mean,
I think
the
the
Steelers are
for
premature.
running back, it's going to a lot of that's going to be based on if Leonard Fournette is still on the team.
Yeah.
You know, because then you're just looking for, you know, a guy to spell him every once in a while, unless he gets hurt again. But I of all those, the name that intrigues me the most is Tevin Coleman. I mean, I think he filled in nicely for Freeman this year.
I mean, he's been good for a couple years.
Yeah.
No doubt. He's good.
You're
good
right.
back.
He is a
Yeah.
pass catching running back, but he's proven effective in that. I mean, Alvin Kamara is too.
Yeah.
I mean, he runs, but he's
Yeah,
a receiver
That's
as well.
true. That's very true.
So
Mark Ingram could have hit free agency too. I mean,
yes, he could.
so that would be something. Well, do you want to ask a question about Antonio Brown?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
We brought it up.
This is from the Kenny. He's at KNNTHB3. And he says, I've read some ridiculous Twitter thread that we should trade for Antonio Brown and keep Bortles, since we won't be able to afford a quarterback nor draft one, making a deal for Brown. Does it make any sense to trade our number one and possibly more for a locker room cancer?
No, you were right. You said you read a ridiculous tweet or thread.
You know, that's kind of intriguing to me.
Yeah, I can see Brown had issues with Ben Roethlisberger, a future Hall of Famer. I can see him getting along great with Bortles and how he gets him the ball. That's just going to work. That's just going to work so well.
Yeah.
Won't be any
You're
issues
right.
on the sidelines whatsoever.
It's intriguing, though. You got to
Yeah,
admit,
he's had over 100 catches, 6 straight seasons?
I mean, the guy is. He balls out for sure, but
yeah, I mean, he's a nut job, but I take him over Odell as far as like the head stuff goes.
I don't know.
I don't know. I like
Odell's
Odell.
a freak. See, Bortles, I don't know if Bortles could get the ball to Antonio Brown. Anyone can get the ball to Odell. I mean, he's a freak. Just throw it up to that guy. He brings it in. Antonio Brown is just going to get open. You still have to throw him the ball. Odell doesn't have to be open, and he'll bring it down. That's the only reason that I would take Odell over Antonio Brown, in my opinion. But they're both head cases, and they're both going to hate Bortles. And they're both going to hate our coaching staff, because they're going to make them go to preseason.
Hey, Jacksonville.
They're going to hate Jacksonville. Yeah. It's
Brown-
intriguing, but yeah, it's a little,
not happening.
yeah.
Where do you think he goes then? He's going to get picked up by somebody. Somebody's going to
Well,
do that.
I think
he's under contract, isn't he?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he
he
stays
is.
in Pittsburgh.
They've already said they're letting him go. They came out and said, like, we're done.
Really?
I'd be amazed if he stays there. Unless Tomlin's fired or Roethlisberger, like, puts his foot down, like, they want him out and he wants out.
Well, they're look to trade him, and
They said they were willing to eat the $26 million and get rid of him.
Wow, there's no way.
We'll see. I mean, maybe that's a message to him to try to get him to tighten up, but I think he's definitely available to the right team. Not us.
No.
hopefully it's no one in our division either. Can you imagine him on the Colts?
Le'Veon and him on the Colts.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even think about it. All right, we can pretty much probably wrap it up with this question.
Okay.
This is from Patrick Jackson. And we always wrap it up with Patrick Jackson.
Well,
That dude has the best wrap-up questions. Like we want to read them early, but they
We need to
wrap
start-
up the podcast.
we need to like start putting some music behind them. You know what I mean?
We
'Cause it-
should. Patrick, send us what music you want us to play behind.
Something soothing.
He gets his own tune
yeah.
at this point.
You send us what you want, and we'll play it because
Well
your
played,
questions
Patrick.
are amazing, Patrick. We love them. And if you send us two, maybe one that's relevant to the beginning of the podcast and the one at the end, then we'll read both of them because this one just wraps it up perfectly. What was the most surprising result from Wild Card Weekend?
It is a great question. I don't think there were too many surprises for me, but I'll say the game that surprised me the most for some reason was Dallas beating Seattle.
It was absolutely the most surprising game.
I thought for sure Seattle was going to win that game.
Yeah, and Prescott played like a man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Elliott showed up. He hadn't had a great season. I mean, they played like, as far as first round draft pick running backs go, he played phenomenal. He was like 180 and a touchdown. I mean, I'm saying they came to play and they kind of were on a downward slide a little bit. I mean, they peaked in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
That was a super surprise, man.
I just don't trust Jason Garrett at all, and he actually pulled it
no,
out.
yeah.
To me, the Bears losing to the Eagles was just the Eagles looked terrible. They looked bad. Like I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs, and I thought the Bears might win the Super Bowl. And then, really, dude, Cody Parkey. Like I know enough's been said about him, but
I don't think it has, though. If that guy's hit the crossbar like 5 times this season, why is he still on the team?
yeah, that's really more on the coaches. They brought in another kicker midway through the year, and he was worse.
I mean, we picked up a kicker off the street just because ours was hurt and he was good.
And
I
our
mean,
old one made the Pro Bowl, so what do you
Yeah.
have to say about
Yeah.
that?
yeah, that's coaching, man. I mean, they've done a great job, but that's on them. That guy's awful.
All right, the second part of his question. With the benefit of hindsight, who do you wish the Jags would have drafted in round 1 last year of the players available to us in our spot?
Well, I know who Joey's going to say.
Yeah, well,
You actually don't.
No? Oh, sorry. That was a little
Don't assume,
little
James.
attitude behind that one. I would have said the offensive lineman that went to the Patriots, but he did end up tearing his ACL.
Yeah, Isaiah Wynn.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm gonna steal Joey's thunder real quick and say Sony Michel.
Dang, man, you got me.
Ah,
You knew that was coming.
Because of Fournette's year.
I was a big proponent of him in the draft too.
You were.
I mean, I still think we should. I still think we should have taken him. I mean, I know he had some injuries this year, but I still think we should have taken him.
He had some, but he didn't miss 6 straight games.
Yeah, and when he
And when
played,
he was
he played hard.
he played really well. So yeah, I'm gonna say Sony Michel.
I have to agree, James.
Thank you.
That's cute. I got 3.
He said
course.
1.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, but you know, you
All
pick
right.
your 3.
So I'm going to go in descending order. Okay, I want to leave you on suspense. Okay, number 3, Will Hernandez, the guard that the Giants took from UTEP. I
Okay.
think a guard would have been great. He wasn't amazing this year, but anything would have been better than what we had.
Well, the joke's on the Giants because we ended up getting Eric Flowers from him and Omame.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that.
2 are better than 1.
Yeah, so we got 2 for 1 on that one.
The second one I would have taken is at pick number 43 in the second round. The Lions took Kerryon Johnson, the running back out of Auburn.
Yeah.
I mean, we needed a running back
Mhm.
so many times this year. If we would have had Kerryon Johnson, who knows what?
And he had a good year.
Really good
So
year.
you would have taken him in the first round?
Yes. Maybe that wasn't clear about the question that
Just
said
curious.
who would, in hindsight, would you
Yeah.
rather have
But
taken?
you said second round, so
I'm saying he was taken.
Yeah.
And then my number 1 player who I would have taken was later than any of the 2 I named, the tight end, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Goedert. How did we not take
I
Dallas
wasn't sure
Goedert?
that when he got drafted, I would. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Good call, Jason. You win that one.
Yeah, of course I did. So Dallas Goedert for sure. But any of those guys would have been better than David.
I was gonna say him, but I thought for sure he got drafted earlier in the first round. There was one tight end that did. Can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, Gesicki got taken after. Andrews got taken after. Oh, it was Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst. That's
Yeah.
it. I thank everyone for all those questions. They were great questions, and we hope to hear more from you this next week and the weeks to come during this off season, where discussion, debate, controversy will reign for over the next 4 months, and then reactions after that. We want to really quick before we wrap up this episode, just get some picks on the playoffs. Second round, Week 2 is down to, what is it, 8 teams already?
Yeah.
8 teams left. We have the Colts traveling to Kansas City. So, Joey, who you got in that one?
That's a tough one. It's probably one of the toughest ones out of any of them. I have to go with Kansas City. I mean, they've just been rolling. I know
Okay.
the Colts are playing well, but there's just too much firepower on Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree. Kansas City just looks like the real deal this year.
All right, I'm going to go to the Colts. I think their defense is way underrated, and I think without Kareem Hunt, the Chiefs just aren't quite the same team. All right, we also have New England is going to be playing
Chargers.
the Chargers, thank you.
Yeah.
Who we got in that one?
I'm going to put the kiss of death on the Chargers. I'm rooting for the Chargers to win it all now.
I think the Chargers find a way to win this game. That's all I got.
Okay. I hope you're right. I will be rooting hard for the Chargers, but I picked New England to go back to the Super Bowl, so I'm going to stick with that and say New England wins that one. That's our AFC. In the NFC, we have the Eagles going to the Saints. And I'll say real quick, I'm picking the Saints with that one because I have them winning the Super Bowl. Joey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Saints are going to roll them.
Yep.
Okay. And we have the Rams hosting the
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Gosh, sorry. It's getting late. Okay. I'm going to say Rams, that one.
I think that's, again, a tough one. I would have said Rams all season, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys at this point.
Okay.
I'm with Joey here. I'm going with the Cowboys.
All right.
I think the Cowboys will win. I think they're gritty,
Mm-hmm.
and the Rams haven't really been that impressive lately, so why not? Let's do it.
I like Van Der Esch, the linebacker,
Oh, yeah.
linebacker for the Cowboys, because he wears that old school
Oh,
neck
yeah.
thing that sticks out of the pads. Like
it
that,
looks
that's-
tough.
Yeah, that looks tough. So, all right, well, there's our picks. Take them for whatever they're worth.
Vegas.
Vegas, yeah, take them to
Take 'em to
Vegas.
Vegas.
Take them to Vegas. Lose all your money. That'll do it for us. Again, send us any other questions you may have. If you think we said something incredibly stupid, let us know on Twitter at Another Jags Pod or Facebook and Instagram at Another Jags Podcast. We appreciate you listening. And as always, go Jags.